Introducing the all-new iPhone XS for 2018. Guys, everything you could possibly want to know about the new iPhones has been reported on today, and I'm bringing you an immense leaks update where I'm rounding up all that info into an easy to digest video. So strap in, guys, let's go through all the latest leaks. And wow, there are so many. So first things first, the naming, something that we've been wondering about for the longest time, and apparently so has Apple. They have been so conflicted and several times have backtracked and changed their mind about the actual naming internally. This is being reported on by Bloomberg, Mark Gurman. Apparently Apple had such a difficult time naming this year's iPhones, they had to change it several times over, and eventually they settled on iPhone XS. And if you really think about it, it makes perfect sense. This entire lineup will be the iPhone 9, iPhone XS, and the iPhone XS Plus, possibly. Apparently Apple is also considering dropping the Plus moniker and just calling it the iPhone XS, 6.5, or the large edition? We don't know that yet, but the naming scheme of the premium models of this year will be the iPhone XS, and that is awesome. If you spell it how it's written, XS, yes, it's an excess purchase that you don't really need, so that might be one drawback of that, but that does make sense, and it's actually kind of a cool name, the iPhone XS. And the report pretty much goes into detail on every aspect of these phones, starting with the fact that they will look visually similar to the iPhone X, which we already kind of knew. Aside from the iPhone 9's back with the lens distribution, it's a little bit different. Everything will look mostly the same. It'll feel familiar, just a larger, more premium version, the 6.5 inch. Yes, internally, Apple is handling this year as an S release. We haven't had one of those in a while, but officially this will be the first S release in a while where Apple's just speeding things up and basically upgrading the internals mostly of the new iPhones. They did mention that next year is when most of the significant changes were happening, so the 3-year cycle might be broken, it might be back to 2. So next year we're going to be seeing the triple lens camera, possibly a smaller notch, all that great stuff. But this year is an S release, so less physical stuff, mostly internal. And they gave a quick recap on the iPhone X Plus edition, saying it'll differ from the regular 5.8 mostly in software. Otherwise, everything's pretty much going to be the same spec-wise across both of them, of course, aside from the battery, which we'll get to here. So software-wise, it'll have iPad-like horizontal support for many applications, which, yes, again, we did know, but they are now confirming it. And this will be one of the largest phones on the market, the biggest iPhone ever at 6.5 inches. And the main changes coming to the iPhone XS and XS Plus will be the camera and the processing power. So those two things are going to be Apple's main focus at the event. And sidetracking to a separate report from Macworld, they actually gave a detailed insight into the Apple A12 chip, which will be found on all 3 new iPhones this year. And they're saying that, yes, the clock speeds might be higher, but it won't be any more optimized to use more of the cores at the same time. It will remain a 6-core processor, and although it will be faster, not as much as you might think. Although they do expect an increase of 25 to 30% in the multi-core performance, and they expect the Geekbench to be roughly around 13,000 for the multi-core score. And that actually corresponds with the earlier Geekbench leak we saw from Ice Universe, right on the cusp of 13,000, and they might actually surpass that once it's out and optimized. And they do expect the GPU to be an absolute beast. As Ice Universe said earlier, they say it'll be about a 40% increase in GPU power, but that won't directly translate to gaming and using it in really heavy applications. You'll get about 15 to 25% increase there, but still, that is a very substantial amount. Now they're saying that yes, the processor is getting smaller, more efficient, but it won't necessarily mean you'll get better battery life. With a screen on time, it'll rely on the size of the battery, which might be getting larger, and on the 10 Plus, of course, will be really huge, but they're saying where it will really shine is the screen off time. So standby time on all of the new iPhones supposedly will be getting better with the A12 just because of the improvements in the efficiency and the smaller die size. And while we're on the topic of battery life, Apple is looking to expand the battery life on the new iPhones in the future by using a new backplane technology. This is beyond me, so I'm going to have to read this, but they'd be switching on the OLED displays from one of the layers of the display, which is a low temperature polysilicon thin film transistor, to a low temperature polycrystalline oxide layer. So use this graphic if you do understand it, but basically this could mean an increase in efficiency when it comes to the display, 5 to 15%, and that could be seen very soon as next year's iPhones even. And going back to the A12 processor while we're on the topic of chips, EE Times is reporting that because of a stellar job that TSMC is doing right now with the processors, they're actually guaranteed to build the A13 ones next year, and beyond that, as long as they can keep providing some sort of innovation, which they do have a lot in the pipeline, Apple will keep choosing them to be their sole supplier for the A series chips. And a really cool detail from that report, so because Apple's using Intel modems in the new iPhones solely, not a mix between Qualcomm and Intel, there will only be one model of phone. It'll have all the radios in it, so you won't need to differentiate between models, say between Sprint or Verizon phones and then AT&T and T-Mobile. All of them will have the same radios in it, so you can use one phone around the world everywhere. It'll have all the proper hardware in there. That to me is a very exciting prospect. And the report does add a very interesting detail. They said that yes, the new iPhone 6.1 will have multiple colors, but the actual band is not going to be dependent on that color. So it can remain a constant color, say a chrome or some sort of silver, but remember this is aluminum, so they're going to be limited on that. It's most likely going to be a matte texture, and it's only the glass back that will change depending on which color you get. And Bloomberg also reports that the dual SIM option is coming to both the 6.1 inch and the 6.5 inch. So there was a little bit of conflicting information there. Now that's been cleared up, so it'll be available in some markets, not all. Also, the 5.8 inch will have a dual SIM sort of functionality. It'll have an internal SIM, so you still might technically be able to get two lines on one device. And some good news regarding the Apple Watch Series 4. They said that the screen will be almost entirely edge to edge. So this will be a radical redesign of the Apple Watch, and we updated our actual design to reflect that. It looks so beautiful. I cannot wait to wear it on my wrist, and I think that's going to be such a popular update. They also did mention that all existing bands will work with this updated design. Although they may change it, the band support will remain. And they also had some words regarding the new iPads. There will be two sizes, an 11 inch and a 12.9 inch model, no home button, bezel-less display, well, more bezel-less than it is right now. Also, the iPad mini will not be getting a refresh, so anyone holding out for that, I think officially it might be dead. Also, Ming Chi Kuo released a huge report today as well. So first off, he started with the Apple Pencil and the new iPhones, not this one, the OLED models. Supposedly, two sources said they would be getting support for the Apple Pencil. Now he's saying, nope, not happening. They actually killed it because it was not a good user experience. And that's why I think they should have made a smaller version, sell it separately. Would have been cool, maybe even add support for the Apple Pencil, but apparently it's not coming after all, but it may in the future. Ming Chi Kuo also believes that the event will be held on the week of September 9th, which perfectly aligns with the earlier rumors we heard. September 12th actual date of event, September 14th pre-order date, and then September 21st actual in-hand date. Also, the OLED models will be available in September, with the 6.1 inch iPhone 9 being pushed back to October because of production delays. Also, Ming Chi Kuo released this spec sheet revealing everything you need to know about this year's iPhones, and he goes into depth here. There's a lot of info. Starting with the dual SIM support, also confirms that it will be available on the 6.1 and 6.5 in China and select regions. And the iPhone XS Plus will have a massive battery between 3.3 to 3.4 milliamps compared to the Note 9, not as big, but still very good. And I'm sure the battery life will be an easy 2 days. The smaller 6.1 inch will have between a 2.6 to 2.7 thousand milliamp battery, which will still be adequate. And the resolutions are shown here as well. The iPhone X Plus one we already knew, but the iPhone 6.1 inch will have a surprisingly bad resolution. Officially, he says it'll be 1792 pixels by 828. That's honestly pretty bad. And this is an LCD as well, so the display quality is going to be pushing a lot of people over to the iPhone X Plus and the iPhone X series. And I personally hope they add ProMotion to the new iPhone OLED editions. That would be incredible. Not likely to happen, but that's my number one wish for this year's iPhone. And a cost-cutting measure Apple is implementing on the 6.1 inch model is that it will have an inferior modem. It'll have a 2x2 MIMO antenna versus a 4x4 on the more premium models. And it's very possible that the prices could be even cheaper than we thought. So Ming Chi Kuo's predictions of the prices are about $100 lower, the relative starting price. He says that on the 6.1 inch, it could start between $600 and $699. So I still think it'll start at $700, but potentially as low as $600. How cool would that be? Also, the 5.8 inch iPhone XS could start at $800 up to $899, and the iPhone XS Plus could start at $900 going up to $1,000. It also shows the building unit prices for each of these phones. So the iPhone 6.1 inch would cost between $240 and $270, and color-wise, he stands by his prediction. He expects the new iPhones to come in a red, a blue, an orange, a gray, and a white color. So you'll have quite the selection, and as previously rumored by Bloomberg, the band might be the same color on all of them. It's just the glass that would change colors. And the 5.8-inch and 6.5-inch models will come in 3 colors, the white, silver, and gold. And another large report from Barclays, they started by saying that in 2019, the iPhones will no longer have 3D Touch. Apple will axe it. It's unknown if they'll keep support for earlier models in future versions of iOS, but it's a widely known secret by insiders that 3D Touch is going away. And supposedly they're going to start with the 6.1-inch model this year, not including it in that, and building off of that. As I reported earlier today in iOS 12 beta 11, they actually added more 3D Touch-like support to non-3D Touch devices. So it seems like it's all building up to a 3D Touch-less world. And I definitely don't want that to go away. I love it, especially the trackpad feature. It is so convenient. Why would Apple remove an extra layer to the OS? I mean, it makes no sense. And Barclays says it does see a potential for the Apple Pencil on the iPhone, but likely in 2019 that could happen. Apparently, Apple is working on a next generation of AirPods, AirPods 2. They will be released in Q4 of 2019, so a year from now. This is likely the ones that will support Hey Siri, that function, and will be water resistant. They also said that AirPower and the wireless charging case for the AirPods will be going on sale in September. They also mentioned that the HomePod will be getting a cheaper sibling in 2019 as the sales haven't been that good, so they need to offer a lower cost option. And now another source, a French radio station, says that they have insider information from separate sources that indeed September 12th will be the event date, 10 a.m. at the Steve Jobs Theater on Apple's new campus, and the event beginning at 10 a.m. as usual. So most sources are confirming that it will be happening on September 12th. Apple should be handing out invites here very, very soon. And believe it or not, the iPhone X Plus already has a clone. Now this one came late to the game. Usually we have new clones of unreleased iPhones months in advance, but I'll be getting my hands on this fairly soon and I'll be showing it to you. Looks pretty cool. A larger version of the iPhone X clone. I'm sure the processor has not been upgraded in any way. It might even run worse than the standard version. And lastly, a case for the new iPads has leaked, and there's a mystery port, some sort of opening on the back that we think could be another smart connector. So you'd have two, one on the side and one there, just for convenience, maybe so more accessories can take advantage of it down below. I really don't know. Nobody knows what that's for, but it does intrigue me. So wow, guys, what an immense update. Everything you need to know about the new iPhones in one video. That was awesome. So sorry for the spoilers, but I did warn you, and I'm sure there will be another major leak here before the release. We'll have to see. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed our new renders, and we're going to be working on them. Hopefully they'll be getting better with time. Stay tuned for the final event here in just a couple weeks. Peace.